The coffee shop wasn't special. 2 windows, 1 flickering light, and the smell of burnt beans pretending to be fresh roast. I came there most mornings before work, pretending the noise meant something. I never talked much. Just watched the steam rise and disappear. She started coming a few weeks ago. Always at the same table by the wall, coat folded neatly, book open but never turning pages. She'd order tea, never coffee. The first time I noticed her, it was the way she waited, patient, like someone who'd learned to expect delays from life. "Excuse me," she said once, catching my sleeve as I passed by her table to the sugar counter. "They forgot the honey. Could you?" "Yeah, sure." I smiled, grabbed a packet, placed it by her cup. She nodded. Small, polite, done. That should have been it. The next morning, she remembered me. "Coffee, right? 2 sugars?" I blinked. "Yeah." She smiled, just barely. "Guess I pay attention." I don't know why that stayed with me. Maybe because no one else did. After that, it became something unspoken, a pattern. I'd walk in, she'd already be there. Sometimes she'd lift her cup in a small greeting. Sometimes just a glance. Once, she noticed a burn mark on my hand from the grill at work. She didn't ask how. Just passed me a napkin, like it was her way of saying I saw. My friend Liam called me out one night. "You talk about this woman like she's your age, man. She's what, 40? 40-something, maybe?" He laughed. "Stop helping strangers. They don't need you." "Once," I said, quieter than I meant, "I was a stranger too." He didn't get it. Maybe I didn't either. There was something about her silences that made mine feel less empty. One rainy evening, the cafe was almost closing when she looked up from her book and said, "You always stay till the end." I shrugged. "Guess I like the quiet." She smiled at that, a real smile this time, faint lines appearing around her eyes. "So do I." Her voice lingered after she left, soft like the echo of a song you don't remember the words to. When I stepped outside, the rain had stopped. Only her umbrella leaned against the wall, forgotten. I picked it up, feeling ridiculous, standing there under the streetlight with a floral umbrella in my hand. I texted Liam, "Should I take it to her tomorrow?" He replied fast, "Don't. You'll just make it weird." I stared at the message for a while, thumb hovering over delete. Then my phone buzzed again, a new message. Unknown number. "You have my umbrella. I hope it kept you dry." No name. No question mark. Just that. I looked up toward the dark windows of the cafe, half expecting to see her there. Nothing. Just reflections and rain streaks. I typed back it did. Then deleted it before sending. The umbrella dripped quietly beside me, the scent of her tea still faint on the fabric. Somehow, the night didn't feel as empty anymore. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't rush to go home. The next morning, I brought her umbrella back. She was at her usual table, reading the same book, the page still somewhere in the middle. I placed it down beside her tea without saying anything. She looked up, surprised but not exactly startled. "You kept it dry." "I tried." "Thank you," she said, her voice soft, almost embarrassed. "It's silly, but I've had that umbrella for years." "Doesn't look silly," I said. "Just used." She smiled, the kind that knows what that word really means. "Aren't we all?" I sat across from her. I didn't plan to. It just felt like the chair had been waiting too long to be filled. We talked about nothing for a while, about the weather, about how this cafe played the same playlist every week. Then she said something that didn't fit the rhythm. "My son used to hate that song," she said, nodding toward the speakers. "Said it sounded like waiting rooms." I blinked. "Used to?" She stirred her tea slow. "He's studying abroad. London. I don't see him much." There was a pause, not awkward, just heavy. Like both of us were holding something that wasn't meant to be shared but somehow was. She looked at me then. "You remind me of him, a little." That should have made it easier. It didn't. I laughed, just enough to deflect. Guess I've got a very average face. Her eyes lingered for half a second too long. No. Just the way you listen. After that, we didn't talk for a minute. The clink of cups filled the space. I thought about what Liam said, stop helping strangers. Maybe he was right. But she didn't feel like a stranger anymore. Not in the way that word usually means. When she reached for the sugar, I moved to pass it, our fingers brushed. It wasn't planned. It wasn't even a touch, really, just contact. But it froze everything. She withdrew first. Sorry. It's fine, I said too quickly. I should have left then, but she asked quietly. Do you ever feel like everyone else is moving forward, and you're standing still? Her voice cracked at the end, the first imperfection I'd heard in it. Yeah, I said. All the time. Something in her eased then. Maybe it was trust, or maybe just relief that someone else admitted it out loud. She closed her book, folded her napkin neatly, and said, I used to come here with my husband. He left 3 years ago. Still feels like The next few mornings she wasn't there. Same corner. Same hour. Just an empty chair, a tea stain where her cup usually sat. I told myself it didn't matter. People miss days. Schedules change. But my coffee tasted wrong, and I caught myself checking the door every time it opened. On the third day, she came in, later than usual, wind in her hair, breath uneven. Sorry, she said, setting down her bag. Had to run an errand. Like she owed me an explanation. Didn't think you'd show, I said, trying too hard to sound casual. She smiled faintly. You thought I disappeared? Something like that. She laughed, then caught herself, as if she remembered she wasn't supposed to. For a while, we didn't talk. The silence between us had changed. It wasn't easy anymore. It hummed. When I reached for my cup, I noticed her hands trembling slightly. Not from cold, from something else. You okay? She nodded too fast. Just didn't sleep. The door chimed. My friend Liam walked in. Dude, he said, grinning. Didn't know you were still on this side of town. We did the usual small talk, but his eyes flicked to her, curious. She offered a polite smile, then looked down, pretending to scroll her phone. When he left, I caught her watching him leave, not in that way, just thoughtful. Friend? She asked. Yeah. He thinks I should stop helping strangers. That earned a small, knowing look. Maybe he's right. Maybe. Her voice was lighter than her eyes. Something shifted then. She reached into her bag and pulled out a folded note. Would you mind reading this? I'm helping a neighbor's kid with his essay. I can't tell if it sounds too sentimental. The paper smelled faintly of her perfume, quiet, like rain and jasmine. I read the paragraph aloud. It was about kindness. About how it sometimes feels selfish to want to help, because it's never just helping. When I looked up, she was already watching me. Her gaze didn't move away. You think it sounds sentimental? She asked. No, I said softer. Just honest. Her lips parted, like she wanted to say something then stopped. I don't know who leaned in first. Maybe either of us did. Maybe the air just moved closer. I could feel the warmth of her breath, the faint tremor when she exhaled. Then she blinked, sat back. I should go, she whispered, gathering her things too quickly. I wanted to say something, anything, but my mouth stayed still. She paused at the door, hand resting on the frame. Don't wait tomorrow, she said without turning. The door closed. I stared at the note on the table, her handwriting running down the page. Kindness always costs something. And for the first time, I wasn't sure who was paying. It was late afternoon when I saw her again, outside the cafe this time, sitting on the bench facing the street. She didn't wave. Just a small nod, like we were two people pretending not to have history. I sat beside her. The air was cool, sharp with that scent that comes before rain. You stopped coming, I said. You told me not to wait. She smiled tiredly. Guess I listened. We watched people walk by, strangers with places to be. I wanted to tell her everything I hadn't said in that quiet week. That the coffee shop felt wrong without her. That the mornings blurred. But the words sat too heavy. I thought maybe you regretted it, I said instead. Her fingers tightened around her cup. Regretted what? I almost said the almost. The half-inch between us that had felt like falling. But she looked at me then, and I saw it, she already knew. I just needed space, she said. Sometimes, it's hard to remember I don't have to take care of everyone. The line stung, though I wasn't sure why. I wasn't asking for that, I said quietly. I know. Her eyes softened. That's what scares me. We sat in silence again. The streetlight flickered to life, too early for the hour. She set her cup down, palms pressed together like she was holding herself in place. When I see you, she said, voice low, I forget how old I am. I turned to her, surprised. She didn't meet my eyes. And then I remember, she added, and it feels unfair. I wanted to tell her she didn't seem old. That I didn't care. But the truth was, I did. Not in judgment, but in the ache of knowing what it meant. The world wouldn't be kind to a story like this. You think people would notice? I asked. Of course, she said, smiling sadly. People always notice what they shouldn't. The rain began softly, slow drops against pavement. She didn't move. Neither did I. Her umbrella was still in my hand. The same one from weeks ago. I opened it over us, small shelter in a widening storm. Her shoulder brushed mine, a quiet, accidental thing that didn't feel accidental. She let out a shaky laugh. We're ridiculous. Probably, I said. But I don't mind. For a moment, she looked at me fully, the kind of look that strips pretense away. If I say something I can't take back, she whispered, promise you won't answer right away. My heart stuttered. Okay. She breathed in, steady, like bracing herself. I haven't felt seen in a long time, she said. And you make it worse. The words hung there, raw and trembling. She reached up, brushed a raindrop from my cheek. Or maybe it wasn't rain. Then she pulled her hand back, eyes unreadable. Do you ever wish you hadn't met someone? She asked. She stopped coming again. Not for a day or two, for weeks. The bench stayed empty, the cafe quieter than usual. Even the barista noticed. Your tea friend not around? He asked once, half joking. I just shrugged. I told myself I was fine. I filled my mornings with noise, new playlists, longer runs, work shifts that bled into the next. But every empty table looked like hers. Every time the door opened, my chest did that stupid thing, half hope, half memory. One night, I walked past the cafe after closing. The light in the back room was on. For a second I saw her, or thought I did, bent over a book, hair tied up. My heart stuttered. But when I got closer, it wasn't her. Just the reflection of someone else, someone younger. The next day, I deleted her number from my phone. Not blocked. Just gone. It felt cleaner that way, like washing a glass and leaving it upside down to dry. A week later, I found a letter in my mailbox. No return name. Just my name in small, careful handwriting I recognized instantly. Inside was a single page. Thank you for listening. For reminding me that kindness doesn't always ask for something back. But I can't keep pretending I don't know what this is. He's coming back. My son. For a few months. I need to remember how to be his mother, not someone else's mistake. I read it twice. 3 times. She didn't sign it. She didn't have to. That night, I walked to the cafe again, just to see. Through the window, she was there, sitting with a young man about my age. He laughed easily. She looked tired but happy. He reached for her hand. I froze on the sidewalk, the letter still in my pocket, the streetlights flickering like they couldn't decide if it was night yet. For a moment, she looked up. Our eyes almost met, or maybe that's just what I wanted to believe. I turned before she could notice, walking until the glow of the cafe disappeared. At home, I opened my phone. The unsaved number still sat in the recent calls list, grayed out but there. My thumb hovered over it. I typed, "Glad you're okay." Then deleted it. Typed again. "I miss our talks." Deleted that too. I settled on nothing. Just stared at the blinking cursor until it stopped meaning anything. I didn't feel heartbroken. I felt paused. Like life forgot to finish the sentence. The next morning, I went back to the cafe out of habit. Her table was empty, except for a folded napkin left behind. I unfolded it, half expecting words. Nothing. Just a faint circle from a teacup, perfectly centered, like a goodbye she couldn't say out loud. It was late when I saw her again, outside her building this time. I hadn't meant to be there. I was walking home, the long way, the way that always curved past her street without reason. She was standing by the mailbox, holding a stack of envelopes. Same neat coat. Same stillness. She looked up as I slowed. For a second, I thought she might turn away. She didn't. "You got my letter?" she said quietly. I nodded. "Yeah." "Good," she said, like that was supposed to be the end of it. It should have been. The air between us felt thinner than I remembered, not tense, just fragile. I wanted to fill it with something that wouldn't make it worse. But all the things full of opinions. "That's good," I said. "It is." Silence. A car passed, headlights brushing over her face. There were faint lines around her mouth I hadn't noticed before. Or maybe I had, and just didn't want to. She sighed, adjusting the mail against her chest. "I didn't mean to disappear like that." "I know. I just..." She paused, searching for words that didn't feel like excuses. I didn't know how to make it ordinary again. I nodded. "Yeah. I get that." She looked up, eyes softer now. "Do you?" For the first time, I didn't look away. "I kept trying to forget you were older," I said, voice quiet. "But that's not the part that scared me." She tilted her head. "Then what did?" "That I started to need the quiet we had. The way you listened." Her fingers brushed the edge of the envelope stack, like she needed something to hold on to. "And what if I told you I needed it too?" I swallowed. "Then I'd say we're both in trouble." That made her laugh, a small, tired sound. The porch light flickered above us. Neither of us moved to leave. "I don't know what this is," she said finally. "But it made me feel awake again. And that's terrifying. I don't want to make things harder for you." "You already did," she said, smiling softly. "But maybe that's okay." There was no music, no perfect timing. Just the sound of wind nudging the leaves. She stepped closer, close enough that I could smell the faint hint of tea on her coat. "You should go," she said. "I know. Do you want to?" Her question lingered between us, heavier than any confession. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I reached out, not to hold her, just to touch the back of her hand, once, lightly. Her fingers turned. The cafe had changed its wallpaper, the barista played different songs now. But the clock above the counter still read 8:47 every morning, a few minutes slow, just like always. I still came sometimes, out of habit. I'd sit by the window, sip my coffee, and watch the light crawl across the same floorboards. It wasn't nostalgia exactly. Just something like respect, for the place that held all the pauses between us. One morning, she walked in again. No hesitation. No surprise. Just a calm, steady presence, as if she'd always belonged there. Her hair was shorter now. She looked lighter, in the quiet way someone does when they've stopped apologizing for existing. She spotted me, smiled, small, but real. "Still 2 sugars?" I nodded, smiling back. "Still tea with honey?" We sat together, the same table, though the space between us felt different. Easier. The kind of quiet that didn't need fixing. Her son was back at school, she said. She was teaching part-time now, painting again on weekends. I told her I'd switched jobs, moved closer to the river. "More quiet?" I said. She grinned. Of course you did. There were no big confessions. No. I miss you. Just the warmth of two people who had already said enough. She reached for her cup, and this time, I didn't look away when our fingers brushed. It wasn't electric, just steady. Familiar. We talked about nothing, the weather, a film she'd seen, how the cafe still overwatered its plants. But beneath it, there was a hum. A shared understanding that whatever we were now, it had survived the in-between. At some point, the barista called out an order wrong. Black coffee for Grace. And she laughed. I'd never heard her laugh like that before. Grace, I said. That's your name? She nodded. Guess I never told you. Guess I never asked? We smiled at that, two people catching up to what life had already decided for them. Outside, the rain began again, soft and unhurried. She looked out the window, then at me. Do you still take the long way home? Sometimes, I said. Good. Some things shouldn't be rushed. When we left, we shared her umbrella, the same old floral one, edges frayed but holding strong. The streetlights reflected in the puddles, turning everything gold and gray. We didn't walk close, not quite touching. Just enough that when the wind pushed the rain sideways, our shoulders brushed. As we reached the corner, she stopped. Same time tomorrow? I met her eyes. 8:47. She smiled. Still slow? Still slow. We didn't need more than that. Some loves don't announce themselves. They just return, steady, quiet, sure of their own weight. And as we parted under the soft hum of the rain, I thought, maybe this was what it meant to be seen, and to stay. Did this story stay with you? What kind of quiet, real love stories do you want to hear next?